kick's got a bit on it though. And
I love Jeff Farmer. Cheeky, vibrant, stood on heads.
Jeff was a magical type person in the forward pocket. Could take a fantastic mark for his size.
Oh, that would be Cadbury's mark of the year. That is just all jump.
Go anywhere for the mark and get it most of the time.
As a small forward, your job majority of the time is to kick goals. Whenever I got the ball, I try to make sure I did something positive with it.
I think it's a goal. The Wizard.
Jeff Farmer was born in Tambellup in 1977. Like many Nyoongar players, his earliest lessons were the ones learnt from family.
My family, we moved to Mandurah when I was 10. Continued playing football with Dudley Park, junior football club. I was pretty lucky to be able to play when I was 13 with my father, my uncles and a lot of cousins as well for Tambellup. Used to travel back and forward with my dad on the weekends to go and play football. He worked as a shearer on the farms, so he was sort of gone for 5 days, but always came back up on the weekends. It was about 2.5 hours to Tambellup. I would play and then come back home as well, so that was a great opportunity being able to spend some quality time with Dad. Yeah, no, it was pretty good. Playing with my dad and uncles, they made sure that I was looked after as well. I was lucky enough to be a little bit quicker as well, so I didn't get manhandled and I didn't get hurt too much. That was a catalyst in a way to make me dream of one day being able to play football in the big time, and I was very, very lucky that my dreams came true.
The invaluable experience he gained playing with the big boys from such an early age got him noticed.
I went down to recruit him when I was coaching South Fremantle. His dad was playing centre-half forward, he was on the half-forward flank. The next year I went down, he was centre-half forward and his dad was on the half-forward flank.
You sort of had that little hope that these talent scouts may be going back to the football clubs and letting them know that you may have been one player that would be worthwhile taking a gamble on.
He was a super player.
It was during his time at South Fremantle that Jeff Farmer became the Wiz. But where did the nickname come from?
Made it up. No. A guy called Bernie Dunn, he was Melbourne's recruiting officer in the West. He actually came and watched one of the games for South Fremantle. When he wrote his little piece on me, he was pretty much saying that wherever the ball was, I seemed to be popping up here, there, everywhere, a bit like a wizard. When I ended up getting over to Melbourne, Gary Lyon started calling me the Wizard at training, and I'm looking around like, who's he talking to? I didn't know, you know. Yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better name, to be honest.
The Melbourne Football Club had been keeping an eye on Jeff Farmer, and it was time to make a deal.
I had a couple of phone calls from a couple of other football clubs, but they were the most serious. They actually came over. We met at South Fremantle Football Club. My dad and my uncle at the time acted as my managers. I keep telling them they sold me short. We walked out of there and pretty much I told my dad and my uncle that I was going.
Probably made Melbourne stand up and have a good look at Aboriginals can play, because they haven't had a lot of Aboriginals play at Melbourne.
As a footballer, you're zoned into what you need to do to play well, to help the team. But I also saw myself as a bit of an entertainer as well, you know. Like when I was lucky enough to be able to play well, to get the crowd involved, to feed off the crowd, you know, that made it exciting.
Just magic and lapping it up.
It's a lot different to playing in a couple of people in Tambellup.
The Wiz worked his magic for Melbourne, winning Goal of the Year in 1998.
We were playing Hawthorn. I sort of ran up the field and got a pass on the half-back flank and then started to run towards the goals. Kicked it to Anthony McDonald. He gave it back, which was a surprise, because normally he doesn't hand pass. I ended up kicking it to Gary Lyon. He hand passed it back. Kept running. By this time I'm tired, puffed out, getting chased by someone that's quicker than me. And knew he was about to tackle me, so it was just a kick and hope. The torpedo, it was only about 50 metres, but I kept telling people it was about 80 or 90, to be honest. And yeah, the ball went through. Yeah, it was a long run. I was puffed out.
In 2002, after 118 games and 259 goals with Melbourne, Jeff was ready to come home.
You know, it was never about money. I wanted to go home because I wanted to be closer to my family. I could have stayed and got what I wanted, but at the end of the day, it wouldn't have made me happy because I wanted to be closer to my family. I wanted to go home. And then it was just a matter of working out a deal. Obviously, Fremantle were on the table. West Coast was another team as well, but I chose to go to Fremantle. Just the opportunity and the challenge of being able to help the club work its way up. Going back to Fremantle, we created history of having 7 Indigenous players in the one team playing the one game. Anthony Grover was another young up-and-comer that was playing there as well, and we looked after each other. That connection, that bond between us was certainly something that forged a great relationship between all of us.
These guys took me under their wing, and these guys are the guys that I looked up to as a youngster. Players like Anthony Grover, Troy Cook, Roger Hayden, Jeff Farmer. I just remember the first day, I had a training session on the oval, came in, recovered, and then we'd done a yoga session. Didn't know what yoga was. So Jeff Farmer just pulled me aside and said, mate, just follow me. Oh, Cuzzy, just come follow me. So I learned all my stuff from them and the way they supported myself and other Indigenous boys that came through the ranks.
I'm certainly very proud of the club and where it's been able to get itself. You know, pretty happy to be able to have helped the football club get to where they've got. I'll take the credit.
Jeff Farmer.
The Wiz retired from AFL in 2008. With 483 career goals and 249 games, he certainly left his mark on Aussie rules.
And in 22 minutes, he's kicked 5 goals.
Well, they don't call him the Wizard for nothing.
14 years of being able to play this great game, 249 games. You know, a lot of kids dream of playing one game. I've got the opportunity of being able to play for as long as I did and for as many games as I did. You know, look back on my career with a sense of pride as well, because coming from the bush, from Tamballup, what I've done will hopefully one day be able to inspire others, especially from small country towns, to be able to fulfil their dream and do what they want to do in life.